Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're going to pull this rear cover off. Going to take and clean up the flange there, seal this thing back up with some RTV, and fill it up with some gear oil so that we can drive and not hurt anything worse than it already is. This is an open carrier, so the one wheel peel, it just has like a 270 something gear ratio, so it's a little bit too tall a gear for driving with the overdrive trans. So we'll end up switching this gear set out, putting a posi unit in it in a later video. Right now I just want to get this thing where I can drive it. Up here also with the 700 trans, we've got a connector that has to plug in. I guess it's on this side. Plug in up here with some wiring and a vacuum switch to get this thing where it knows. All right, so I've got you guys kind of set up inside of here. You can see, got this little connector there. Pretty easy to plug in. But then when I look at it, here's my ground wire. All right, see that little ring on the end there? That's like 3 inches long. I would have to ground that underneath here somewhere to be able to use that wiring. And then this little square section here, that's a little vacuum switch, so it has a vacuum line that runs all the way up to the motor. And then I have a red and a green wire that their length is good enough. I can get them inside of the truck just the way they are. I'm going to kind of temporarily hook up a toggle switch so I can lock and unlock the torque converter on this 700R trans. Permanently, I'll probably do something different, but we're just trying to get it on the road. Wires here to make our trans torque converter lock and unlock. And you know, it's roughly 5 feet long, a little bit shorter. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend these wires right here. Really, yeah, we're just going to have to probably take and just make a new one, or I'll clip it and solder and heat shrink right beside these spades so that I can take this thing and I can move it, yeah, away from that connector. Ah, stupid stuff. Come on. There we go. So we'll take the vacuum switch, we'll get it up here. That goes to the motor. I'll figure out, I'll mount this up somewhere on close to the engine block in the engine compartment. So we just need to come in here. We'll take and do a little clippy right there. Take this, strip it, lay it down. Nothing wants to stay. It all just goes its own way. So do the same thing here, just like clip a little piece of wire so we're starting fresh. There, peel that. And when I do these wires, I like to cross them over, twist them around. All right. So I like to solder these and use shrink tubing on them. You could certainly just butt connect them together. I would still use some type of self-sealing butt connector. Man, I know they've come out with all kinds of new and improved methods to connect things together. I don't know if any of you watch Andrew Camerata or not, but Andrew uses solder and shrink tubing and says that it's the only way he's got wires to stay fixed, and hey, I kind of believe that. I'm definitely a believer in it. If I'm doing something that's got to be fast, or if there's a OEM recommendation that says that not to solder wires, I would certainly listen to that. But we're working on a 72 model truck. Thing's got about 30 wires in the entire harness. I don't know why it's so difficult to get it all to work, and since I make it sound so easy when I just talk about it, you'd think there's nothing to it, and really there's not a lot to it. But we're not working with brand new wires. We're working with almost 50-year-old wires now. This stuff isn't. So all I did there, just get the wire hot enough that the wire starts wicking the solder. You're not melting it directly to the tip. This tip doesn't work as good since I broke the original one. This is actually just a piece of wire, electrical solid conductor wire, probably like 12 gauge. and it may be a little bit too big for this. So then you guys all know the next thing you do, you just take the old shrink tubing and slide it back over your connection. Yeah, I don't have a heat source in my pocket, so we'll get it shrunk down a little bit later. But you just use a cigarette lighter or a heat gun, shrink that down, and then you got a nice sealed connection. And I think I'm going to leave that ground. Alrighty, so we got the plug plugged in, made sure everything was tight there. I put a zip tie back here. I got one up here where it's zip tied to the speedometer cable, and then this runs on up to the top of the engine. And then while I'm looking down here, I saw this didn't have a cotter pin in it, so I stopped and I put a cotter pin there. And then you start thinking, wow, did I finish everything? Cotter pin, cotter pin, cotter pin, cotter pin, go over the whole front end looking at it like that. Make sure everything else is tight, because hey, this truck's never been on the road before. So yeah, I know that I completed most everything, but man, it's been a long time getting to this point. So you just start having a few little doubts. It's always better to go back and check.